continue our discussion of the hypothetical case. Consider one more specific historical possibility. At one time, this country that we are talking about had people with a religion of ancestral worship. So they were worshipping ancestors before Islam came to this country. Then Islam came soon after 7th century. Before that, people were practicing ancestral worship. And when Islam spread, it was all Sunnis. In the beginning there were no sects, and after that it was Sunnis. So the entire land at one time, looking from the present point of view, was a Sunni land. In fact, many shrines of Sunnis were located in the southern part. The southern part had many universities meant for Islamic theology, and southern part was very important for Sunnis. But then something happened in the south. There was one Islamic religious man went to the southern part. He came from distant lands, and through his preaching, he converted most of the Sunnis to Shias. So their conversion to Shias was only few hundreds of years. So on the time scale it is recent. So this made Sunnis say that all the land was Sunni land, and Shias can't take a separate nation. Is the argument fair? I don't think so. If the people belonging to a land change their religion, how will they lose the land? So, the land belongs to them only, even after changing the sect. So, Sunnis can't claim that there cannot be a separate nation for Shias, because the land at one time belonged to Sunnis. I don't think that is a valid argument. How about holy places of Sunnis in the Shia land? Well, Sunnis can go and visit them. Sunnis can go as tourists or stay for as long as they want. But based on history, they cannot deny the present people to constitute a separate political entity for themselves. So, at one time there were Sunnis, and so separate Shia land cannot be allowed is not a right argument. Okay. So that is about argument 4. Next, one more argument. If Shia land becomes a separate nation, Sunnis will feel more insecure. That is, Shia land has to be a part of the country in the interest of the security of Sunnis. Well, if that is the case, then it is very important for Shias to be treated well. In fact, if they are contributing to the security, then they should be treated much better. They cannot feel discriminated when they are contributing to the security of the remaining people. So that argument is not valid. Suppose Shia land consisted of resources and Sunnis were depending on it. Then it is all the more reason that Shias deserve better treatment. Otherwise it is colonialism. So, the only ground by which Sunnis can tell Shias that you need not separate is to convince them that the political system that we offer is fair. There is no other reason. If the political system that Sunnis are offering is not fair, then they have no moral argument to ask Shias to remain in the same country. There is no moral argument, no ethical argument. Of course, Sunnis, because they are a majority, force Shias to stay in the same country. So they can occupy and keep it under the same country, calling them separatists, anti-nationals, and even un-Islamic and anti-Muslim. So they can create such labels and they can suppress the demand. So, well, how is this case a sin in Indian history? What is the connection? I think historians in India have not made a clear distinction between what is a society, what is a state, what is a nation, and how the idea of a nation is recent and how it is constructed in a peculiar way. It is not sufficiently emphasized. So Hindutva people think Pakistan belongs to Hindus and others think The huge area is India. The entire area was always India, and now also it should belong to India. There is no sufficient focus that India is an extremely recent creation. And India, Hindu culture is not the same thing as India as a nation. And for a nation to be democratic, consensus of the people for inclusion is important. These things have never been emphasized. Students take India as something that had been there for centuries. So, the history did not focus on how nation has come into existence and how recent the whole phenomena is. So this had large implications.